Okay, hello everyone. Welcome. So let's get started here. From your fantasy league to your favorite athlete's performance tracker, the business of sports is evolving faster than ever, and it's creating massive opportunities for investors. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. Whether you're a diehard fan or just curious about the future of sports tech, today's webinar will show you how innovation is changing the game and how you can be a part of it. My name is Sam, a producer here at AV, and I am so lucky and honored to be here to just kind of be your Sherpa throughout this webinar. So let's ask ourselves, what if you can invest in the next billion-dollar sports venture before it goes mainstream? And you didn't need to be a professional athlete or a billionaire team owner to access these opportunities. You will discover today how the sports investment landscape extends far beyond the field, spanning everything from fantasy sports platforms valued at billions to cutting-edge wearable technology changing how athletes perform. Alumni Ventures has made investing in this high-growth market accessible to individual investors just like you, giving you ownership in a diversified portfolio of innovative sports companies alongside prestigious co-investors like Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia, and Founders Fund. Investing in sports technology isn't just about potential returns, it's about being part of a passionate community, supporting the evolution of games you love, and participating in what Keaton and Lucas will show is truly a golden age for sports innovation. So, as I mentioned, Keaton and Lucas are our two sort of leaders and speakers today. So from now, I'm going to pass on the baton to Keaton and Lucas to sort of get us started.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our masterclass on insights from great unicorn sports investments. I'm Keaton Nankivil, Senior Principal at Alumni Ventures, and I'm excited to share perspectives on the transformative opportunities within the rapidly evolving sports ecosystem. Before we dive in, everything we discuss today is for informational purposes only. This presentation contains forward-looking statements and is not personalized investment advice. Alumni Ventures will manage funds that make investment decisions, but the information shared today is not a guarantee of future performance. We suggest carefully reviewing all offering documents before considering any investment. So a quick overview today. This is a packed slide, but we will be going through a handful of examples of cases we pulled of great sports investments, really just to illustrate all of the activity that's happened in the sports ecosystem, as well as the direction that we think it could be heading as kind of sports continues to get a lot of wind under its sails here in the recent months and years. Real briefly about your presenters. As I record this, I'm sad to report that my colleague Lucas, who really put together this report and did all the research behind it, is ill today. So I'll be recording this solo. A little about me and why I'm qualified here maybe is I spent the beginning of my career as a professional athlete, so very familiar with a lot of the stuff happening in sports, and then came to venture capital by way of Alumni Ventures and kind of learning our method, but really started focusing on sports a couple of years ago. Circling back to my roots in the ecosystem. I won't go too deep into Lucas's background. He'd be better at doing that himself, but super sharp guy, and kind of interesting story here is he wrote for the sports section of the Michigan Wolverines student newspaper when he was at school there. So also knows sports pretty well from the media side and got to see a lot of that stuff firsthand. Quick snapshot for context. Alumni Ventures was founded in 2014 to create a pathway for accredited individuals to own smart, simple venture capital portfolios. Since then, we've raised about $1.4 billion from over 10,000 individual investors, and deployed that capital into more than 1,500 unique portfolio companies. This scale and activity level makes AV one of the most active venture firms globally and the largest domestic venture firm for individuals. Our team of approximately 120 investment professionals operates from our Manchester, New Hampshire headquarters with offices in Boston, New York City, Chicago, and the Bay Area, giving us exceptional deal flow that individual investors typically can't access on their own. Now let's get a little bit into the sports segment here. I'll be doing a relatively scripted presentation today, but want to make sure that I'm getting through this efficiently and then putting a little time at the end for Q&A. So let me start here. Sports have evolved far beyond mere entertainment. It's become a sophisticated marketplace with significant growth potential across multiple dimensions. From fantasy sports platforms to cutting-edge wearables, the innovation happening in sports tech is reshaping not just how games are played, but how fans engage, how athletes perform, and how businesses monetize. One of our sports fund investors captured this perfectly when he told me, "Sports provide a great platform for me to root for my school or city, while Alumni Ventures allows me to do that with fellow fans or even rivals in a way that's exciting and beneficial to the companies AV invests in." Let's get now let's examine specific areas where this transformation is creating compelling investment opportunities. So we're going to start where a lot of people think in sports, and that's franchise ownership. Franchise ownership has created remarkable wealth multipliers that deserve attention. Jerry Jones acquired the Dallas Cowboys for $140 million in 1989. Today, that same franchise is valued at approximately $10 billion, or a 71x return for Jerry. Similarly, Mark Cuban purchased the Dallas Mavericks. Let's see if we have that. Yes. Purchased the Dallas Mavericks for $285 million in the year 2000 and sold his 73% stake for $3.5 billion in 2023, representing a roughly 12x return. On the other side, you have maybe less established franchises. And the example here is Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney recognized potential where others didn't. They acquired Wrexham AFC, a fifth-tier Welsh football club, for approximately $2.5 million in 2020. Through their creative approach using an FX and Disney Plus series, they transformed this overlooked club into a global entertainment centerpiece. And by 2023, Wrexham's value had quadrupled. The most successful sports owners understand that winning extends beyond the field. It's about visionary storytelling, media leverage, and brand building that creates lasting value. Related, a lot of activity has come out of fan engagement, and betting has been a major part of this. So in 2018, the Supreme Court's ruling unlocked a $1 billion industry that early entrants capitalized on with remarkable speed. Today, DraftKings commands a market cap of approximately $19 billion, while FanDuel, the main rival, their parent company, is valued at around $47 billion. DraftKings' initial investors included Accomplice VC at the seed stage in 2012, followed by MLB at the Series A, which valued the company at just $17 million. By the Series D, the valuation had reached $1.2 billion, and when DraftKings went public in 2020, the valuation was $7 billion. This growth chart shows how active users have increased steadily from 2020 to 2023, demonstrating the expanding market for sports betting that continues to reward early investors. Next, we're going to look at wearables. So this goes a little bit more on the performance side, but really interesting, especially, coming from an athletic background myself, seeing how a lot of the technology we had kind of in the elite athlete space 15 years ago is now kind of percolated down into the consumer market. So the wearables market represents a particularly compelling opportunity that it's still developing for strategic investors. At AV, we've secured positions in companies like Oura Ring and Epicor Biosystems, names that have gained significant traction but still have substantial growth potential ahead. Oura Ring has become essential for elite athletes seeking valuable insights on recovery and performance optimization. The advanced biometric data it provides has translated into impressive growth, with Oura Ring now valued at approximately $2.5 billion. Epicor, in the sweat space and sweat analytics, is pioneering innovative real-time hydration and metabolic tracking. The company recently raised $26 million in a Series B round in early 2025. And their GX Sweat Patch, which was developed with PepsiCo and maybe Gatorade would be the name you'd recognize attached to it, has already shipped 1.5 million units with projections to generate $12 million in revenue by the end of 2025. Circling back to some of the league stuff, the way we think about leagues at the AV Sports Fund is we use kind of the qualifier emerging leagues and teams. So what do we mean by that? For investors looking beyond traditional sports, emerging leagues represent particularly interesting opportunities. The pickleball phenom illustrates this perfectly. Currently the fastest growing sport in the US, Major League Pickleball has seen team values increase from about $100,000 to an impressive $10 million in just a few years. While those numbers might be small relative to the rest of the sports and franchise world, that's a 100x increase on the dollar for investors there. Notable sports investors include celebrities like LeBron James, Tom Brady, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Bill Gates, who all recognized this potential and moved early. 35 Ventures, which was co-founded by NBA star Kevin Durant, purchased an expansion franchise for $1 million. that was later valued in the 8-figure range. These examples demonstrate how identifying emerging trends before they become obvious can position investors for significant potential returns. Other emerging leagues. The principles we observed in pickleball are playing out across several other emerging leagues. Boxing is undergoing a tech-driven transformation with AI-powered analytics and new media models reshaping a centuries-old sport. AV recognized this shift early and participated in Ring City's 2025 seed round alongside respected investors like Founders Fund and Joe Montana's Liquid 2 Ventures. Kind of nice to see it coming around to other athletes. Our portfolio company Baseball United is pioneering professional baseball in the Middle East and South Asia, regions with massive untapped fan potential and a proclivity for ball and bat sports if you follow cricket at all. This venture has attracted backing from MLB legends Barry Larkin, Mariano Rivera, and Adrian Beltre, all of who are investors. League One Volleyball, which is not in our portfolio, but one of my kind of favorite emerging leagues at the moment, is elevating professional women's volleyball in the U.S., backed by Left Lane Capital and prominent sports figures like Kevin Durant and Lindsey Vonn. Their ESPN2 deal for 28 matches in the inaugural season signals the mainstream potential while the league is in its first season. Another area we've seen a lot of innovation is AR and VR, largely focused on fan experience. The way fans experience sports is undergoing a fundamental transformation. Companies like Cosm are developing innovative shared reality venues that blend in-person energy with digital immersion, a concept that could significantly change how we define being at the game. Instead of focusing solely on isolated VR experiences, they're building venues where fans can gather to experience immersive presentations of live sports that bridge the gap between physical presence and digital enhancement. Cosm's expansion from 1 location to 4 demonstrates growing demand for these immersive, shared experiences as they begin to reshape fan expectations globally, really keying in on that idea that sports are fundamentally a shared experience, but enhancing it with some really modern technology. Let's talk quickly about the data revolution, and this feeds into a lot of things from sports betting to player performance and analytics to team management. Data has become the invisible infrastructure powering nearly every aspect of sports. From betting to broadcasting to team strategies, the collection and analysis of sports data has created significant opportunities for companies that can deliver insights with speed and accuracy. Sportradar exemplifies this trend perfectly. The company has attracted notable backers including Michael Jordan, Mark Cuban, and Steve Case's Revolution Fund. Steve Case is founder of AOL. They've secured key partnerships with major leagues like the NFL, NBA, and FIFA, becoming integral to their operations. This central position enabled them to go public in 2021 at around $8 billion market cap, a valuation that reflects the essential role of data in sports. For investors who recognize the growing value of real-time sports insight, this data revolution represents a compelling opportunity that extends beyond any single sport or league. Again, kind of coming back to the health and wellness space that I would call kind of the world where everyday athletes are starting to maximize their potential. We talk about personalized nutrition and training. So building on the data revolution, we're now seeing the personalization of nutrition and training transforming athletic performance from the standardized protocols to precision science. AI-driven startups are bringing remarkable innovation to this space by offering sophisticated, tailored solutions based on individual biology and performance data. Zoe, shown here, illustrates this trend perfectly, providing AI-powered precision diet planning based on microbiome analysis. The company has attracted $270 million in valuation after securing investments from respected VCs like Coefficient Capital and L. Catterton, plus forward-thinking athletes like Eli Manning. Performance-driven personalization is rapidly moving beyond professional athletes to everyday consumers seeking the same advantages or outcomes, creating a massive market opportunity that's still in its very early stages. So we want to kind of finish by saying, in many ways, we believe that the sports investment landscape is really entering an impressive time. We're witnessing a truly remarkable moment for sports investing. In fact, just yesterday, as I record this, it was announced that a new $1 billion sports and experience fund was launched by an NBA team owner and former Excel partner in conjunction, a powerful signal of where sophisticated institutional capital is flowing. This isn't an isolated event. We're seeing unprecedented capital movement into sports, media, and experience investments across the entire funding spectrum, from early stage venture all the way to growth equity and private equity deployments. The smart money is recognizing that what we've been discussing today. Sports is evolving from a passion industry into a technological and experiential revolution with significant investment potential. AV Sports Fund is specifically designed to offer this industry momentum to our individual investor base. While billion-dollar funds chase later-stage opportunities, we're strategically positioned to access the early-stage innovations that often deliver the most compelling returns. We're highly encouraged by the acceleration of activity in this sector and believe the market is just beginning to heat up for what will be an important and active investment category for the coming decade. For sophisticated investors seeking exposure to this transformation, the timing could hardly be better. The convergence of technology, media, and sports is creating entirely new business models and revenue streams that simply didn't exist 5 years ago and will likely look entirely different 5 years from now. Our approach allows investors to participate in this evolution through a carefully curated portfolio of companies at the forefront of this change. So with that, I'd like to kind of clearly say we would love to be your venture partner if you're exploring sports, and wrap up this presentation with a little bit more AV context, just to let you know that the sports fund is definitely supported by an infrastructure at Alumni Ventures that gives us a ton of leverage and rigor behind our deals. So we're not out there just alone. We have the backing of an impressive team and company behind us. So let me start with our trophy case. Alumni Ventures has established itself as a leader in the venture ecosystem. We've built the premier venture firm for sophisticated individual investors globally with a large and engaged community and entrepreneurship that creates powerful network effects. Our experienced team consistently identifies opportunities that many investors might not discover independently. We've also built a respected content brand for venture-curious people and developed an effective sourcing engine that secures allocation in deals led by top-tier VCs. Our Apex 50 report highlights 50 standout companies in the AV portfolio, selected for their innovation, performance, and significant potential across multiple sectors. If you followed us for some time, you know that our business is fundamentally built on co-investment, and specifically co-investment with leading venture firms. A fundamental advantage in our approach is our ability to co-invest alongside established venture firms in the industry. We've developed relationships with hundreds of respected venture firms globally, including many recognized names in the field that you're seeing on the screen. We've participated in multiple co-investments with firms like Andreessen Horowitz, Coastal Ventures, Y Combinator, Sequoia, Kleiner Perkins, NEA, Founders Fund, Bessemer Ventures, and Union Square Ventures. These relationships provide our investors with opportunities to participate in high-quality deals alongside firms with proven track records of identifying and supporting transformative young companies. So if you're interested in moving forward and exploring these opportunities further, we offer two distinct pathways. For self-directed investors, visit our secure portal by scanning the QR code on the left. For those who prefer guidance, our senior partners are available with personalized walkthroughs of our fund offerings. Dan Burns, Stacy Tsai, and Darren Wiest are ready to address your specific questions. If you're already an AV investor, account managers Stephanie and Hillary are here to help optimize your existing portfolio and explore additional opportunities. So with that, thank you for joining us today. We've shared insights into compelling investment opportunities in the sports innovation landscape. Trends that are transforming not just how games are played and watched, but creating entirely new markets with significant growth potential. We're excited about the possibilities ahead and look forward to potentially welcoming you into our partnership. I'm going to go through a couple more legal slides here. And then I'll go back to this page in case you're interested in checking out that QR code. And then I have a couple of questions that I can be a little bit more organic in answering as we wrap up here. But these are questions that we field quite frequently, and we've heard recently from some investors. So I added them to this presentation. So the first one is, how do you evaluate the potential longevity of trendy sports investments like pickleball against more established categories like esports? Taking these specific examples aside, pickleball and esports, I think the fundamental thing that we need to do here is understand what is trendy and what does trendy mean. Trendy can also provide great investment opportunities, by the way, if we think there's a path to exit. But getting to the kernel of the question, something I've observed as somebody who's been in and around sports and movement for my entire life is that it can be inherently trendy. Yeah, basketball, football, those leagues and sports have been around for a long time. But actually at the periphery, trends have always been a part of the sports and activity market. I didn't mention earlier in the conversation, but I got my degree in kinesiology, which is the study of human movement. And I think back to my younger days when things like Tae Bo were a trendy thing in kind of personal health, and the videos and ordering your VHS. That was its own business model, an ecosystem that actually had probably quite a bit of value. And so it was trendy, and we want to avoid trends, but we also recognize that a property like Tae Bo, and I actually don't know the history off the top of my head, but a property like Tae Bo may have been acquired by a larger fitness brand, for instance. And so we want to be cognizant to things that are trendy. We do need to know them and try and evaluate kind of the longevity. And I think the trick is not avoiding trend or trying to predict trend, but trying to match our risk appetite with what we perceive as trend. And by that, I just mean something that we perceive as more trendy. We just have to cook that into our analysis and know that the life cycle of it might be quicker. And so extracting the value early is important, or seeing a quick exit ramp is important, but also that there could be value there. And so it's less about avoiding, but more about properly placing things kind of from a risk framework. The next question is, what's your perspective on international sports investments, particularly in emerging markets like India, Africa, and other places? So my perspective, having played a career of sports abroad, is that sports are fascinating because they're a global experience. Actually, some of the most passionate fan bases, as much as we love our sports in the United States, some of the most passionate fan bases I've come across are in Europe, for instance. Soccer in Europe is about the biggest thing going in the sports world. So, there is a ton of opportunity globally. Again, it comes down to kind of an analysis of what we want to look at. I'll point to Baseball United, which I referred to earlier in this presentation. Our analysis there is that cricket and the Premier Cricket League, which probably many Americans have not heard of, is one of the biggest and most valuable sports leagues in the world. And it kind of exists solely in India and the Middle East. What does that say? It says there's a hugely passionate audience there. And our belief is that there's also a familiarity with ball and bat sports. Cricket is one, and we think there might be translation into baseball. There's also just such a massive embedded audience in this geography that we would anticipate there'd be some kind of carryover fandom or adjacent fandom here. And so, there is a real opportunity to bring an established sport by American standards to a new geography. And so I think that's what this question is pointing to is, the way I think about emerging leagues and teams is emerging by taking new sports to new geographies, taking new sports to existing geographies, or exposing new demographics to existing sports. And I think this is a combination of point 1 and 3, where baseball is going to the Middle East, and that's really big. There's also things like NBA Africa, which is taking the NBA structure and trying to bring it to the continent of Africa. A really important project that really took off in value early on and is still very much in its formation stage, but an important project to keep an eye on. I also think a lot of the dynamics that we talked about throughout this presentation about economies around fandom and data all apply as sports continue to spread out and continue to take hold across the world. Fans in Europe, fans in Asia, fans in Africa, fans in South America are equally as likely to participate in things like betting behavior, sports analytics as American fans. And so there's infrastructure that still needs to be built elsewhere, and this economy will continue to grow around that because sports is such a universal experience. Question number 3 is, college athletics undergoes transformation with the NIL deals and conference realignments. What investment opportunities are you targeting in collegiate sports? Another really important question. And again, as I record this presentation, we're kind of expecting further information on the NCAA versus House settlement, which is the next big step in kind of the reconfiguration of the NCAA relationship. I think the transformation just provides enormous opportunity. The truth is that college athletics and the NCAA had been running a system for decades that really worked and generated a ton of value, but it was not shaken up in any significant way. So there was kind of value flowing through the conventional pipes that they had established. As the NCAA kind of lost some influence via some previous legislation and rulings, and as universities and conferences have kind of taken it upon themselves to realign, we're seeing them realign around nodes of value. Some sports drive a little more value, some geographies drive more value, but the truth is that this realignment is a natural outgrowth of value allocation. And so what we look for are opportunities that can either take part in that or facilitate it. Kind of the key trends, it would be hard to pick out exact areas that we're going to be investing. There's many emerging areas, but the key trends that I like to think of is who's creating value here or experiencing value here. And one thing I keep coming up on is that the business model of a college athletic department has been drastically shaken the past couple of years. And the original NIL settlement that brought in things like collectives and paying players, it took actually a lot of control away from the athletic departments. And so, they would like to own relationships with their donors, with their fans, with their players, obviously. And so anything that kind of allows athletic departments to get closer to those constituencies, I think is a really important factor. I also think about kind of realignment of media. College sports has continued to be a massive media business, especially in football, men's and women's basketball, and some other sports that have really been taking off, like women's volleyball. And there are new media strategies, whether that's kind of linear channels for individual conferences or other distribution strategies like, unbundling IP rights and kind of putting them through new channels. So the realignment of media has also been a really interesting one. And that's kind of overlapping with a general sports media realignment that's happening across sports, not just a college sports thing. So lots of factors taking place. I think fundamentally it comes down to controlling value and controlling the flow of value. It's a huge economic engine. And so the players that have influence want to control the flow of value, and we look for solutions that allow them to do so. So I think that's the last question that I have here. Always excited to talk about this topic. Obviously, as a former athlete and just a lifelong sports fan, it's a topic that's very close to my heart. I know what's super fun about sports to a lot of people is the passion involved, but something we reiterate a lot here at Alumni Ventures is that it's not just about passion. This is a major economic opportunity. And our sports fund is built to, bring that to you at the earliest stages of growth here. And so if you ever want to talk further about it, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Again, if you've taken down the information of Dan, Stacy, and Darren, they would also love to talk to you, but would love to look forward to engaging with you all. And please pay attention to our sports fund. It's going to be a really exciting fund as we go into Fund 2 here and continue to build on what we've already done. So thanks for listening. Have a great day, and please reach out if you're interested. Thank you.
Okay, Keaton, thank you so much. Keaton and Lucas, huge thanks to you guys for putting this webinar together today and for hosting. Sports have always brought people together, but now they're bringing together innovation, passion, and investment like they never have before. So if you're ready to get off the sidelines and get into the game, scan the QR code that you've seen throughout your screen today or connect with our team and learn more at av.vc. So thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we will see you next time.